the mathematical probability that Jesus is the Christ. The reason why prophecy is an indication of the divine authorship of the scriptures, and hence a testimony to the trustworthiness of the message of the scriptures, is because of the minute probability of fulfillment. Anyone can make predictions. Having those prophecies fulfilled is vastly different. In fact, the more statements made about the future, and the more the detail, then the less likely the precise fulfillment will be. For example, what's the likelihood of a person predicting today the exact city in which the birth of a future leader would take place, well into the 22nd century? This is indeed what the prophet Micah did 700 years before the Messiah. Further, what is the likelihood of predicting the precise manner of death that a new, unknown religious leader would experience 1,000 years from now, a manner of death presently unknown, and to remain unknown for hundreds of years? Yet, this is what David did in 1000 BC. Again, what is the likelihood of predicting the specific date of the appearance of some great future leader, hundreds of years in advance? This is what Daniel did, 530 years before Christ. If one were to conceive 50 specific prophecies about a person in the future, whom one would never meet, just what's the likelihood that this person will fulfill all 50 of the predictions? How much less would this likelihood be if 25 of these predictions were about what other people would do to him, and were completely beyond his control? For example, how does someone arrange to be born in a specific family? How does one arrange to be born in a specified city, in which their parents don't actually live? How does one arrange their own death, and specifically by crucifixion, with two others, and then arrange to have their executioners gamble for his clothing, John 16:19, Psalms 22:18? How does one arrange to be betrayed in advance? How does one arrange to have the executioners carry out the regular practice of breaking the legs of the two victims on either side, but not their own? How does one escape from a grave and appear to people, after having been killed? Indeed, it may be possible for someone to fake one or two of the messianic prophecies, but it would be impossible for any one person to arrange and fulfill all of these prophecies. The science of probability attempts to determine the chance that a given event will occur. A professor at Westmont College has calculated the probability of one man fulfilling the major prophecies made concerning the Messiah. The estimates were worked out by 12 different classes representing some 600 university students. The students carefully weighed all the factors, discussed each prophecy at length, and examined the various circumstances, which might indicate that men had conspired together to fulfill a particular prophecy. They made their estimates conservative enough so that there was finally unanimous agreement even among the most skeptical students. However, the professor then took their estimates, and made them even more conservative. He also encouraged other skeptics or scientists to make their own estimates to see if his conclusions were more than fair. Finally, he submitted his figures for review to a committee of the American Scientific Affiliation. Upon examination, they verified that his calculations were dependable and accurate in regard to the scientific material presented. For example, concerning Micah 5:2, where it states the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem, the professor and his students determined the average population of Bethlehem from the time of Micah to the present, then they divided it by the average population of the earth during the same time period. They concluded that the chance of one man being born in Bethlehem was 1 in 300,000. After examining only 8 different prophecies, they conservatively estimated that the chance of one man fulfilling all 8 prophecies was 1 in 10 to the power of 17. To illustrate how large the number 10 to the power of 17 is, a figure with 17 zeros, the professor gave this illustration: if you mark one of 10 tickets, and place all the tickets in a hat, and thoroughly stir them, and then ask a blindfolded man to draw one, his chance of getting the right ticket is 1 in 10. Suppose that we take 10 to the power of 17 silver dollars, and lay them on the face of Texas. They'll cover all of the state 2 feet deep. Now mark one of these silver dollars and stir the whole mass thoroughly, all over the state. Blindfold a man and tell him that he can travel as far as he wishes, but he must pick up the one silver dollar that has the special mark on it. What chance would he have of getting the right one? Just the same chance that the prophets would have had of writing these 8 prophecies and having them all come true in any one man, from their day to the present time. In financial terms, is there anyone who would not invest in a financial venture if the chance of failure were only 1 in 10 to the power of 17? This is the kind of sure investment we're offered by God for faith in his Messiah. From these figures, the professor concludes the fulfillment of these 8 prophecies alone proves that God inspired the writing of the prophecies. The likelihood of mere chance is only 1 in 10 to the power of 17. Another way of saying this is that any person who minimizes or ignores the significance of the biblical identifying signs concerning the Messiah would be foolish. But, of course, there are many more than 8 prophecies. In another calculation, the professor used 48 prophecies, even though he could have used Edersheim's 456, and arrived at the extremely conservative estimate that the probability of 48 prophecies being fulfilled in one person is the incredible number 10 to the power of 157. How large is 10 to the power of 157? 10 to the power of 157 contains 157 zeros. The professor gives an illustration of this number using electrons. Electrons are very small objects. They're smaller than atoms. It would take 5 times 10 to the power of 15 of them, laid side by side, to make 1 inch. Even if we counted 250 of these electrons each minute, and counted day and night, it would still take 19 million years just to count a line of electrons 1 inch long. With this introduction, let's go back to our chance of 1 in 10 to the power of 157. Let's suppose that we're taking this number of electrons, marking 1 and thoroughly stirring it into the whole mass, then blindfolding a man and letting him try to find the right one. What chance has he of finding the right one? What kind of a pile will this number of electrons make? They make an inconceivably large volume. This is the result from considering a mere 48 prophecies. Obviously, the probability that 456 prophecies would be fulfilled in one man by chance is vastly smaller. Once one goes past one chance, 10 to the power of 50, the probabilities are so small that it is impossible to think that they will ever occur. As the professor concludes, any man who rejects Christ as the Son of God is rejecting a fact, proved perhaps more absolutely than any other fact in the world.